down to dunk.
And I'm down to dunk.
I'm down to dunk.
This is J-Dub, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lindy Waters, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk.
We say this is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
Cracklin Oat Bran?
Have you had Cracklin Oat Bran?
No,
No. Okay.
but it's healthy.
Are you a big oat brand guy?
I'm a big Oat Bran guy.
Okay.
I think I would switch it with Fruity Pebbles.
Okay, eat faster. Don't put as much in the bowl.
Do you have a gallon of milk I can also take home?
You don't have milk at home?
One cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Yeah. Cereal is great. Yeah.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Mondays, my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, this morning I watched a game, and it was a tense game. I mean, emotional, terrible in terms of getting a basketball inside a basket, but great for everything else. I mean, this team can get you excited in many different ways. I mean, you have the we can't miss game, we have the Shea game, and then we have these games where yes, Shea is great, but it's the greedy defense. It's the not letting it go, just being there in the moment, and at the last possession, like nail the most important shot and nail the most important defense of the game. It's impressive.
Yeah, that final play, one, you have to give the Nuggets so much credit because the way that they defended until Mark had to call a timeout was outstanding. It was perfect. There were like no gaps in the defense. There was no window of opportunity for anybody. And I'm glad he called the timeout because they were about to get some just real garbage shot up, and they were definitely going to miss. Like, that's what was going to happen. They kept down that road and didn't call a timeout. But they called the timeout, and Shea is so smart because I wish I was there to ask because I'm not certain that play was definitely going toward the basket for Shea. He kind of faked to the left and then went to the basket.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he was supposed to go get the ball or if that was it, but he definitely saw that he had a clear path to the basket and had a step on Aaron Gordon and got there and then just made it. That was not an easy shot either, by the way. Like, that was not a gimme, but
No.
Shea made it look really easy.
Because he gathered immediately. Because he didn't let Aaron Gordon, which I called Eric Gordon this morning on Thunder of the Dark, I think, because he didn't time. But anyway, the immediate gather was the reason why he got open for real. Yeah. Because Gordon snuffed it out almost immediately. He was there. Had Shea took another dribble or just waited an extra second, that would have been much, much harder. Instead, Shea realized that and boom. Yeah.
Yeah. And Shea hadn't scored since like the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. And it felt like no one had scored since about the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter. It was a pretty miserable fourth quarter up until that point. It felt like scoring was the most impossible thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like last year's Thunder team trying to score the ball. I mean, there were 7 of 19 in the fourth quarter alone. Kenrich Williams, this will get lost, but Kenrich hit such a big three down the stretch of that game.
1.17 left.
Yeah, just to give them a little bit of life because it felt like this game was just slipping away. Yeah. And it felt a little bit like the Thunder were handing it to them and the Nuggets were just saying, no, we're good because they missed a billion free throws in that game. They were 3 of 10 in the fourth quarter. 2 of those went in from Zeke Naji at the end there. And I kind of thought, okay, this might be it for the Thunder because he hit those two, tied the game up, and you thought, okay, this might be it. And they ended up pulling it off. One, because of the outstanding play call from Mark, outstanding pass from Giddey, outstanding finish from Shea. It was great. It was just perfect. And then the defense from Dort on the other end on Jamal Murray was just awesome.
Yeah.
It was about as good as you can play Jamal in that final possession. And Lou has been good. Recently, Lou has been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And he played Jamal really well. Now, I mean, that's the only guy. Like, who else is taking that shot for the Nuggets? I mean, that's it. It's just Jamal. And he played him about as perfectly as you could ask.
It was very similar to the defense that Lou had against Dame on the final shot of the game.
Yeah, that's a good
It was
call.
a different part of the floor. Jamal tried the baseline, then he had to pull back. And I mean, Lou can't play every single possession like he did because it was very aggressive. But this is how you defend the last shot. I mean, you put your chest, not your hands. And I mean, 90 times over 100, this is not a foul. You risk a bit, but you have to be aggressive. You have to play aggressive basketball there. But it was great timing, exceptional move, exceptional at moving his feet to stay in front of him, and he jumped at the right moment.
Jamal is to his right, but he is waving his arm like a madman in front of him to just alter the shot. And Dort is the master at like waving his arms in the right places most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's such a menace, and he just finds ways to disrupt the offensive player. And like that was one of them where he's just waving his arm to the side. It was amazing. It was so good. Like that win felt really good. And I know that no Jokic, no MPJ, but still to pull that off in altitude, second game of this road trip, like that's a big win. I mean, we talked about this Friday, and I kind of charted out like the next handful of games before the All-Star break, and like these were both that I had marked down as losses, both of them. And there's circumstances that led to this being an easier game than it could have been with Jokic, for sure. Because I mean, the Thunder had whatever they wanted in the paint almost all night up until really the fourth quarter. They were having their way with the Nuggets getting to the rim. And with Jokic there, it would have been different. Not that Jokic is like some crazy rim protector, but he's just more of a presence in the middle than Zeke Naji. So you don't agree?
I don't know. I felt that OKC had their way with a few guys, not in general. I mean, Trey Mann had a few moments, but it was mostly Giddey and Shea that were murdering Denver. And I think that this was a point of emphasis no matter who was guarding the paint. Sure. I mean, if you have Jokic, then probably you try to play a little bit more high pick and roll to lure him out and then attack. So I don't know.
Giant.
I know.
Compared to Zeke or somebody like that who's thinner. Like the
Thunder slower.
He's slower, but he just takes up so much more space.
Yeah.
And he's just a smarter player. Like just flat out.
Yeah, that's true.
Positionally, he just knows he's not like some world beater defender, but you don't become a 2-time MVP by being a traffic cone on defense.
No. It's not like crazy. It's not like his first 2 years in the league where he was really a problem defensively. Now he's not. I just wonder if the strategy of OKC would have changed dramatically with him on the court. I don't think so. I think that they would have tried more pick and rolls. Surely Muscala, I mean, the shot distribution of Mike was very weird last night. I thought with Jokic on, he would probably try to lure him out with a few pick and pops. But I'm really impressed by the way Giddey is attacking the basket. The frequency, the results, the fact that he doesn't have many doubts when he drives there. It's just hey, I'm gonna score, and this is so important. I know that we were all excited when he was taking threes, and now he's not taking them. But the defense is paying attention no matter what, because they know that they can't really leave him out. Otherwise, if he's attacking the basket at full speed, it's not as easy to guard. So I think that the defense is not cheating as much, which is lowering the number of attempts that he takes from three, because it takes still a little bit to load the shot up. But it's still working. And again, it's the results are impressive for Giddy.
Yeah, he finished really well last night. I mean, he was 9 of 17 at 53% from the field, and just finished with a variety of ways, like in the paint, where it's like the floater, like his little push shot, getting all the way to the rim. He's just been really good. It's just he's ultra confident right now, and it's just really fun to watch. And I mean, he was a huge reason. Like his first half in particular was just ridiculous. What was he in the first half? I mean, it felt like he didn't miss
7 out of 9.
Yeah,
something like that.
7 to 10.
Yeah,
in the first half. It just felt like he couldn't miss no matter where he was. So that was incredible. Like what a performance by Josh. And I mean, Shea, goodness. Shea put on a show last night in Denver. I mean, this was like, hey, we need superstar Shea, and he showed up in a ton of ways, and mostly again in the paint. Like they just dominated the paint. He and Giddey just absolutely dominated the paint. I mean, he took 2 threes, and then he took 1, 2, 3, 4 other shots outside the paint.
Yeah,
all of the other shots were inside the paint. And that's not easy to do. Like he had to really find his way in, because he's just like the focal point of the offense. It's like who else do we need to worry about right now? I thought that he was just so good. And then the other thing that I noticed just throughout the night is like Aaron Wiggins, while he didn't make like some crazy impact, I think he took 3 shots total, and 2 of them. His ability to extend possessions last night was just really big.
Yeah.
He had several plays where he just kept things alive. I mean, to speak to that, he had 4 rebounds, all offensive rebounds last night in his 16 minutes. I just think he's such a positive player. He didn't have a positive plus minus last night, but this was a 2-point game. It's going to be tough to make that happen. But I thought he was tremendous last night as well, and like deserves a shout out for the way that he played.
Yeah, and it's at a certain point, it was clear that Daignault favored him instead of Trey Mann. I mean, he was just putting him for defenses, for defense and for rebounding. I mean, last night, the weird thing is that, yes, Denver didn't have Jokic nor MPJ, but OKC really tried to put an emphasis on the boards. They won the board battle, and I mean, it's not that they had more big men. It's just that guys like Wiggins, like Giddey, Kenrich, they all contribute to a high level in terms of getting rebounds and controlling, not allowing too many second chances. Sorry, and that matters. I mean, in a game that you win by 2 points in Denver, like the fact that they were able to put energy on the court for 48 minutes and again having, I mean, something that we have to say is that it's not that OKC shot the ball terribly because of shot quality. I think that they created so many open shots, and they were just missing, but it's not that they didn't create very good looks. I mean, Isaiah Joe had probably 1 contested 3. And he just made 1 out of 5? I don't remember.
2 of 7.
7. Yeah. Okay. Still not a great percentage when he has like 6-7 shots.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just a weird night, honestly. Like it was a weird game. It was an intense game. I wouldn't say it was like a well played game. Like just the kind of shots they got in the fourth quarter, especially, were just like, oh man, come on, guys.
Yeah,
like this isn't it. Like the offense wasn't working, and some of that was Denver. I mean, they could throw out a unit that like defended really, really hard. Like KCP is really good. Aaron Gordon's really good. Bruce Brown's really good. Zeke Naji is trying real hard. You know, like
Mhm.
there's like reasons why it was tough on the Thunder. But they got obviously they got just the right amount there at the end, you know, and really it was what the catalyst for winning the game was just the way they started. You know, they won
Yeah.
the first quarter 27-18 and they got up early and they looked really good from the jump. And that was the catalyst because it was like nip and tuck from there. And then Denver outplayed the Thunder in the fourth. And then if honestly, this is like the anti-Heat game where they shot 17 of 33 from the line. And it was just, I mean, if I were a Nuggets fan, I would be so mad.
Hey,
Because
regression to the mean.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going to happen.
They had so many chances. I mean, they could have had that game wrapped up. I mean, you just make 5 more free throws, like the game's wrapped up. Like that would have been it. And still they wouldn't have shot a good percentage from the line had they made 5 more. They're 51% from the line. Like that's just unacceptable. Like that is just so bad. A lot of that was Aaron Gordon, who was 6 of 13. Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like, and you feel a little bad for him because he played really well otherwise. But
it was great.
like there were some times where, and this is where you watch him and you're like, oh, okay, there's Orlando, Aaron Gordon, where he's trying to be too aggressive, go into the hoop,
Mhm.
and he's just like he doesn't have any control once he gets there. He's just bigger and stronger than guys and faster than guys, and he can just get there. But once he gets there, he's a little bit like Dort, where it's just like I don't know exactly how I'm going to finish this, but I'm just going to get there. He did that a little bit, but his defense was the reason why this was close. Because I mean, if not, I think Shea was just on one where he could have. I mean, Shea could have had 50 last night.
Yeah.
Had Aaron not defended him well, and he still had 34 points on 21 shots, and didn't only shot 8 free throws. You know, it's not like he went to the line like a crazy amount. I mean, it's below his average amount of free throws, but Shea was he was on another level last night with the way that he played, and even with Gordon playing, it's like, oh man, Gordon played about as well as anybody could play. It's like, well, not enough, not well enough.
Yeah. I mean, for Gordon, you can apply the same rule as Dort. I mean, you can't play that brand of basketball, that aggressive brand of basketball for 48 minutes. Otherwise, you'll probably commit too many fouls. But you can do it for 6 minutes. And he did it. He was very good. I think that Shea passed on a few chances that he could have to create better shots, which didn't happen or didn't go in. But Gordon is the prototype of defender that Shea struggles a little bit against, like guys that are quick enough and have size and strength. I mean, against those guys, Shea's not optimal. But even if it's not optimal, I mean, he's still incredible. And the free throw, I mean, over the past 2 games, OKC really didn't get to the line. Part of it is maybe not attacking as much. I mean, I know that they had a lot of points in the paint, but a decent amount were short jumpers and floaters, which, I mean, it's unlikely that you get too many fouls out of that. Still, I felt that 16 shots, free throw shots, are not representative of how OKC attacked the basket. And if you pair the game against Sacramento and this one, OKC really had very little luck in terms of having free throws. So to me, yes, Jokic didn't play, MPJ didn't play. Denver shot the ball terribly from the free throw line, but this is still a win that OKC was not gifted. I mean,
No.
So it gives me hope that even if they don't, they didn't take too many free throws, they didn't shot the ball particularly well from 3. They were 26.7%. They were still able to manage the game and to win it. It's again, it's impressive.
Yeah, showing poise in those final 2 possessions where it really mattered is what they need to do. I mean, it's like another touch point for them. And they're 23 and 24 today. And I mean, 23 wins was their over under Vegas. I mean, they win one more this week. They're over that, and we still have a giant chunk of the season left. I mean, it's pretty impressive stuff that they've been able to do. And obviously, most of that credit goes to Shea, but then a lot of it needs to go to Mark. It's been tremendous.
Yeah.
I thought Mark coached a really good game, and then Giddy, and then Dort. Like, those guys have just been so good. Yeah, I mean, you look at the standings currently. They're on the outside looking in on the play-in. They're tied with the Golden State Warriors at 23 and 24. They have a game with the Warriors coming up soon, which will be a very interesting one. I can't quite get a grasp on the Warriors, honestly. Like that loss to the Nets yesterday was just a little baffling to me. Kyrie was obviously just ridiculous, but this was the full squad for the Warriors. And then you lose in Chase Center to the Nets without KD. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't quite know what to think about them. You know,
Hey, maybe it's an end of an era. I mean,
feels like
or they just will turn it on over the last 20 games of the season just to give it a try. It's hard to be this bad and then turn it on.
Yeah, I mean, you think that like they turn it on, and like they had some decent wins recently, and then I don't know, they got the Grizzlies. Like, the Thunder have a tough schedule, but Golden State does too. Like, they got the Grizzlies at home. I think Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wednesday night.
Sounds about right.
That's a really interesting one, because like, I'm coming for the Thunder. If you're choosing dumb and you want them to win, you know, they have the Hawks on Wednesday night here in OKC. Like, that's an interesting one, because the Hawks have started to get it going a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They had won 5 in a row before they inexplicably lost to the Hornets. It's like, come on. But they beat Pacers, Raptors, Heat, Mavs, Knicks. It's like, oh, okay. That's a really good stretch. And then you go and you lose to the Hornets. Like, the minute I start to have faith in them, then they lose to Mason Plumlee was like 25 and 11 in that game. It's like, come on, guys. You cannot allow something like that to happen. So that's a really interesting one. That's a toss-up to me. Like, if they can beat Atlanta, like, I think they're talented enough to beat Atlanta. Then they have, on Friday, they play Cleveland,
which is super hard.
That's a tough one. Cleveland is just good. Like, they're just flat out a good team. They're not flawless, but they're really good. They beat a Bucks team that is good. The Bucks didn't have Giannis, but still, like, the Bucks are schematically still really tough. And Evan Mobley in that game. Did you see what Evan Mobley did against the Bucks?
No.
Well, first of all, he had 27 shots, which just like made me really proud of him.
Wow.
Yeah. No Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know what Mitchell's status would be for Friday. I don't know how long he's going to be out. But he had 38, 9, and 3.
That's nice.
It's pretty nice. Like, that's the version of Evan Mobley that like all the bloggers and podcasters have been talking about. And we haven't seen that version of him a whole lot since he's been in the league, just because he doesn't get 27 shots typically. And so I think that's cool to see, because he's a really good player. So that matchup should be tough. Like, the Thunder will definitely not be favored in that matchup against Cleveland at home. And then they have the Warriors on Monday night, January 30th at home. So it's a tough little stretch here. They're already through 2 of those games, and they're 500. Lost in Sacramento, won at Denver. Like, that's about as good of a start as you can get. And I had them banked 1 win out of these 5, and still, like, you can get to 500.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's 3 games at home. It's not that you have to win one, but it would be good to win at least one.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're hoping for the play-in, hope is not lost if they lose all 3 of these.
No.
It's because they have Houston, Golden State, Lakers with Rui Hachimura on February 7th. So watch
What
out.
a sad trade.
So sad. It's so depressing. Like, what a depressing way to start out the trade season.
Yeah.
Like, hey, our failed lottery pick for Kendrick Nunn and 3 second-round picks that likely won't matter.
Yeah.
Hooray. Help is on the way, LeBron. Don't worry. They probably would get some more fans. Just having a player from them is like great. You know, it's kind of cool for. I hope I hope the Lakers make the playoffs just for Rui now, just because I want to see.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah. I mean, and Rui is one of the good examples of being a little bit unlucky and being on a team that really doesn't maximize what you have. Granted, I don't know because no one knows if had Rui been picked from another team, what changes. I have no idea, of course. But if you look at the way in which some of the development of the OKC players over the past few years, how they developed them, not necessarily the results, but the way in which they try to insert concepts that maybe players are not familiar with or players struggle with at the beginning. And with Rui, I mean, he's very talented. He was coming out of Gonzaga, like one of the top 10 prospects in this draft. And
he was like 20 points, I think like 7 boards and like not an insignificant number of assists per game. Like he's extremely talented.
But he
played there a few years, which is like whatever, but you know, he wasn't like some like one and done guy.
No, I think he was a junior when he was drafted, 21 years old.
Yeah.
Same age as J-Dub. And you could see him in a point forward role. But you have to work on the fact that he was okay taking mid-range shots and not threes. And that his shot diet was not perfect for the league. And instead, I mean, I didn't see that coming to fruition. When I see him playing, I mostly see the same player. Again, with a bit of injury. I mean, he was a little bit unlucky on that end. But still, I mean, you can see that how you develop players is almost as important as the player that you take. I mean, it's and with Washington, it's not great. I mean, if you look at the last few drafts, I mean, it's
not
depressing.
great is an understatement. Yeah.
It's a bit depressing.
I mean, Johnny Davis's past draft, and it's looking like one of the worst picks. Kispert in 21 is fine. Like, he's a fine player. He's a guy that will play in the league for a long time.
But there is no development to be made there.
Yeah, he just kind of is what he is. He actually, like, if he were traded to the Lakers, I would say, okay, he might actually be a difference maker.
Yeah, but the Kispert game is already tuned for the league. I'm not saying that he will not develop, he will not improve. He will, just by the fact that he's training with an NBA team, he will improve in some of the areas.
Upside, like he's Joe Harris, you know.
Yeah, it's just perfect for the modern game. So there is not a ton of development in terms of adding skills, modifying the way in which you approach the game. I mean,
Denny Avdia in 2020.
I hated that pick.
It's a pretty gross pick. I just don't know what he does. That's good. And then you like look at the guys that were still left on the board, like Devin Vassell, definitely helpful. Tyrese Halliburton, obviously a great player. Hey, you want to put a hat on me? I'm already wearing a hat. I've got a 4-year-old invasion onto the pod right now who wants to put a different hat onto me.
That's a great hat.
Yeah.
It's much better.
You like this? All right. See you later, buddy.
Yeah. Except for the very good hat that Andrew has. I mean, can you imagine Tyrese? I mean, Tyrese.
Oh my gosh.
Perfect for them.
And Beal. It would have been great. It would have been great.
Or ruined, depending on.
Or absolutely ruined his career. Vassell is the one where you're like, oh man, like he's right there, guys. He was right there. I mean, he would have been
Yeah.
so helpful. I mean, he's such a good player now
Yeah.
that it's just like, what in the world are
Do
they?
you remember that clip that he posted with that awful looking shot like 2 weeks before the draft?
Yeah.
I have no idea why a person in his right state of mind published that. I mean, I think that he really lost, I don't know, 2-3 draft positions at
Yeah.
least. I mean, to post a video, like, why is that? It's unbelievable. I don't know what is happening there, but it's clear that I mean, that Vassell's shot is different from the one that we saw in that clip.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He was probably deciding where to go, which is still weird. Like,
Yeah, the Spurs is a interesting choice.
yeah,
Very interesting choice. But I mean, they just continued to make really bad decisions. And then when they took Rui at 9, Cam Johnson, who was a reach, I can't give them flack on that because
No.
when Phoenix took him at 11, it was like, oh my gosh.
I roasted Phoenix for that.
Yeah, like PJ Washington, Tyler Hero. But then, like, after that, it's like Romeo Langford. The Pistons took Sekou Demboya.
No, it was the right player to take.
Okay, it's like, all right, like, whatever. Then you have the Thunder taking Darius Baisley at 23. Traded Brandon Clark. Just
Not
still
the finest.
didn't like. And then Grant Williams after that. Grant Williams was my guy in that draft.
Yeah.
I liked Grant a whole lot. Even Keldon Johnson, that ended up being just such a golden pick for the Spurs.
Yeah, Keldon Johnson was weird. Like, why a team like OKC that likes multi-tool
You want
wings?
a young 19-year-old project wing.
Was it 6'7", 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah, like 6'6".
Yeah, which is
Maybe
nice
that's
for a
fine.
guard.
Yeah, but he's way more of a forward.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he's not like guard in terms of. He's a wing. Let's put it this way.
He's a wing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird pick. It remains a weird pick. That's okay. I mean, you're picking 23. Like, you can do some weird things, but
hey, they picked the guy who made the best pass yesterday. That was a great moment.
It was yeah, it's fine. It's like whatever.
Come on, be happy. Be happy about theirs, making plays, swatting shots, playing aggressive.
Was there a shot made from that pass?
Yes. Isaiah Joe. He splashed it from 3.
For some reason, my brain didn't go in. Maybe that's me being biased. I can admit my own bias. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, we all know what's going to happen with Baze. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Honestly,
come on, it's still nice that the guy whose destiny is already marked by Andrew Schlecht, he is still producing quality minutes here and
0
there.
shots in 16 minutes, -5.
I thought that he didn't play a bad game. He was actually trying to move the basketball, which is a great improvement.
Sure.
Also,
Usman Jang is back, and so sorry, Darius.
You're terrible. I mean,
no, I'm not. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just being honest.
Mean.
I'm not. This is not mean.
Yes, you're mean.
It's not mean. Just honest.
Okay.
I mean, Jang, who played really well in the G League, like, you have to feel really encouraged with that.
Yeah.
Picked 11th. There's no guarantee, as we see with Rui Hachimura, who had a ton of potential coming into the league, and a guy that was like, oh, he's kind of late to the game. Like, he's gotten so much better since he picked up the ball, and like, look what all he's done. And he could hardly play when he got to Gonzaga, and like, look what he's doing now. And you just felt like he had this like trajectory, and then he just like flatlined. Jang is picked 11th, and boy, you can go a lot of places in your NBA imagination with this guy. 6'11", 7 feet, however tall you think he is, fluid with the ball, I still believe that the small sample that we've seen of him, his defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he started to make shots. And he is, at the very least, like a very interesting project. And at the very most, he is like something great for this team. And I am so intrigued to see. And he's one of like he's just a wild card because no one's really counting on him as a piece of the future of this team, as part of the fan base, just because we haven't really seen a whole lot of him. Like you think about Shea and Giddy and J-Dub and Chet, and you're like, yeah, those are the guys. But like, why couldn't Jang be just as important as those guys? Like, there's a chance that he is, and if he is, then like what? Like this, like he is like throwing gas on a fire if you can actually work out. I mean, this thing gets really interesting really fast if he's good, because he's younger than a lot of the guys that are going to be in this upcoming draft. Which I don't know, man. I'm very intrigued. Not having him for like this giant stretch, I think is very interesting. Like, I think he's younger than the Thompson twins. I mean, he's younger than Brandon Miller.
Mm-hmm. He also shoot less threes than Brandon Miller. I mean, I just love the guy.
I mean, adding Brandon Miller
would you switch them?
Would be great too. I just think I'm just very intrigued with what Ousmane Dieng could be. And even if he doesn't work out, like, you're not toast or anything like that. But it's just really, I'm just very interested to see him play more minutes down the stretch.
Would you switch the Thunder pick, Dieng, and an extra asset to draft Brandon Miller? You don't have to. You don't get to decide the number, the pick. You can draft him. Full stop.
I don't get to know where the Thunder's pick is at.
No, you just know that you pick him no matter what.
It's like right now the Thunder would be 13th.
No, that pick is gone. You put that pick and Dieng, and the team that's drafted Brandon Miller, give it to you. Probably you also need to give in something else, like
something else.
Yeah.
Get out of my face with that. No way, dude.
Wow. Okay. No. It's 4 picks for Brandon Miller. That seems a lot.
That's crazy. I'm sorry. I like Brandon Miller, and he's getting better as the year goes on, but like, nah.
Okay. That's fair.
I mean,
I don't know if I'd do it too, but I just wanted to. I mean, Brandon Miller is the guy who can really create space for OKC. Maybe Dieng can too.
Dieng might be able to. Dieng fits. I mean, he fits the Thunder profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can make a decision with the basketball.
He's long,
giant for his position. Like, if he works out, he's the kind of player that you could just never ever get in Oklahoma City unless you're giving up like 5 first rounders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just don't get those guys. Not like Brandon Miller is like a guy that's just like growing on trees. He would also be one of those guys that you just couldn't get in OKC. But it's an interesting conversation. I mean, Miller obviously, I think, could contribute probably a little bit quicker than Dieng can, because Dieng he's a long-term project. Like, there's no doubt about it.
But a lot depends on the shot. I mean, yes, it's a long-term project, but if he starts hitting shots, then it will be, let's wait for the other things to come. Let's put him on the court because he can nail a few shots.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really want to see him on the court soon. And he had the best game against Atlanta. So maybe seeing those jersey will send him back in time, and he just can continue.
Yeah.
From where he left.
Yeah, I'd rather use future picks in a trade to get Miller than to use Dieng.
Yeah, no, I know. Nobody will give you Miller for that package anyway.
You can't.
Well, I know that you want
especially
trade.
If he's going 4th. It's like we're gonna take on Dieng, who is like, we don't even know what he is. you know, and it depends on what the draft evaluations were. But it's like, hey, he went 11th in the draft. So you're basically saying we're going to give up. There's no reason to believe that. You could even say that it's a little bit worse than the 11th pick. So you could say it's like giving up pick 13 and pick 15.
And another one.
And another one. See, like that's where I'm like, yeah, no way. If I'm the Thunder, I'm like, nah. But even if I've got the 4th pick, if like that's what you got, let's say you're the Spurs.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, they will never give you.
Brandon Miller, or we can have the 13th pick. This guy that was picked last year at 11th that didn't play hardly at all. And then a future first. It's like, I don't know. Just give me the guy. Like we've sucked. We've sucked all year, so that we could get like these middling first round picks, basically. Like, nah. Just give me the guy that's picked toward the top of this awesome draft. You know.
Yeah.
But also, like Brandon Miller's not. If that is like the Spurs pick, like that's not the savior of the Spurs.
Well, no, but I'd like to have him.
I know, but they need somebody. They need like a hub. They need a guy. Like they need their guy. And Brandon Miller would function so well off of a guy like Shea or a guy like Giddey. You know. He's not necessarily somebody that's going to like give me the ball and I'm going to go create something. You know? Yeah. So I would be, if I ended up with the 4th pick as a Spurs fan, I'd be a little dejected. You know?
Hey, maybe you draft a Josh Giddey type of guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it with this draft is like Wembanyama, Scoot, Amon Thompson. And then like you can like, you got to really talk me into Nick Smith. Like I can't get there, but like you got to really talk me into him being like your guy. And like the next guy that I think could be like the guy, it's like maybe Keontae George could be that. Like maybe he could get there. And then everybody else, I'm like, no, these are like complimentary guys, you know, for the most part. Like everybody else is like pretty complimentary. You know, Asor Thompson. It's like a complimentary guy. Grady Dick, complimentary guy. Jarris Walker, complimentary guy. Jet Howard, complimentary guy.
Jet Howard, just please stay in college for another year kind of guy. It's not going to happen. But anyway, this is a great tangent. We know about this guy because we have a show every single week that talks about them. So if you are not subscribed, please do, and you can get everything.
Yep. Draft show. Okay. This Thunder team is in such an interesting spot because like you get to talk about them improving through development, you get to talk about them improving through the draft, you get to talk about them improving through trade. We get to fantasize about the Rockets picks upcoming, you know, the fact that they could have 4 first-round picks in the 2024 draft, that Chet's coming back, and if they had, honestly, any semblance of rim protection right now, they could be the number 1 defense in the NBA. Because right now, as it stands, with all the development that still needs to happen, with the addition of Chet coming, with the addition of another pick coming, whether it's in the lottery or in the teens coming, this team is 9th in defense. They have the 12th best net rating in the NBA. And offensively, they have a long way to go. They're 20th. But to have the 9th ranked defense and to have one of the most glaring needs that will be solved next year.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. It will be solved next year.
Yeah.
Like that, like if you're not excited, like that's got to get you excited. Because if here's the top 5 teams in defense. Hey, you got to go, bro. If top 5 teams in the league, Memphis, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Philly, Boston. Those are the top 5 teams. And then you even look at the teams after that. Miami, Brooklyn, Pelicans. every team above them is a playoff team.
Yeah.
Every team above them in the standings is a playoff team. I mean, that should give you some like extreme hope for where this is heading right now.
Yeah, and I mean, either OKC is a playoff team as well, or they have the potential defensively to be a team that improves and gets there. I mean, it's outstanding the way in which they can play defense even without the rim protector. I mean, they do it by taking charges, by switching in a super crisp way. They do it by guarding the point of attack defense in with multiple players. I mean, I think that Nikias Duncan discussed. It was last Tuesday. Yeah, sounds about right.
Last Tuesday.
And he was saying that Dort at the point of attack basically cuts the opponent's shot clock to, 15, 16.
Yeah.
If you start the possession like 4 or 5 seconds later than your usual time, it's basically having one less option at your disposal, one less read, one less cross-court pass. All these things are extremely important, but it's not just the point of attack defense. It's the fact that everyone knows, everyone puts the effort in. I mean, Giddey last night really played hard. There was a possession where it was matched up against Gordon and he held his own. I mean, last year, those things were not there for Giddey. I mean, right now he's stronger. And last summer, someone named Andrew said for the entire summer, you will see Giddey getting stronger, and this will change a lot in the way in which he plays basketball. And I think that we are seeing that, yes, on offense, but also on the defensive side, where he's not the quickest, but he's playing much better overall. And he is basically skipping way less on defense. There were moments last season where you do 3-4 passes and Giddey is late for a closeout. Right now, those moments are less and less. And this is how they have the 9th best defense. Granted, they are young. They know that they can stay on the court just if they play that way. It's hard to hold a guy that is 27, 28 to the same standard every single night. But if you develop a chemistry together where it's more being sound than being ready and communicate the right way, and you can do 95% of the job, this will create good habits and a sustainable defense. And when Chet comes back, I mean, it will be tough for opponents.
Yeah. Just like imagine Dort doing all the work that he does and a player finally getting there. And honestly, the best shot that they'll get is a mid-range pull-up.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, if a guy can beat Dort, like he could probably get to the hoop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that kind of help defense there with Chet, if you can funnel guys to Chet, sorry. Like it's just not going to happen for you.
Yeah, and it's not that you realize immediately that Chet is there and you can take that shot. I remember Tari Eason having a good game in the first half in Summer League against Chet. And then at a certain point, he was having a drive to the basket. Chet was very far. And Tari confidently took a layup. And the ball was probably in the second row of the T-Mac. Because Chet is able to understand to be one step ahead. And so that kind of understanding, that kind of space that he can cover will help a lot. Yeah, and just deter people to try. I mean, Prime Gobert was doing that. The presence of him at the rim was just a deterrent for guys who were willing to drive. So let's hope that Chet can mimic that and maybe be better, because I think he's more mobile and can. It's not that he will be super mobile and guard everyone in terms of wings and guards.
Well, just having a
He's-
7-footer that has like tremendous length and timing. It's like they just don't have that. I mean, they've got most nights a 6'6" guy jumping center, or you have like the other Jay Will, and it's like, yeah, he's good at taking charges, but defensively, like he's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Like, to be an effective guy. Chet, I just think that he'll step in and just be helpful right away. I mean, you look at the other teams that are at the bottom of the defensive ratings. San Antonio Spurs are at the very bottom. Young team. Detroit Pistons, 29th, young team. Houston Rockets, 28th, young team. Charlotte Hornets, 27th, young team. Utah Jazz, 26th. And then like Orlando's 23rd, Indy's 22nd. Like that's where all the young teams are. You look at every other team, and it's like the rest of these teams aren't young teams. Those are all experienced teams. I mean, Memphis is at the top. They're one of the younger teams, but they're one of the teams that have figured it out.
Yes.
And like, how did Memphis figure it out? Well, they played defense first. And then they had a star guard. I don't know. The Thunder aren't that different from that Memphis trajectory. I mean, Memphis made the play-in, ended up beating Golden State in the play-in and getting to the playoffs. And that was their like arrival. And you can't predict like that exact sequence happening for OKC. They may miss the play-in totally. Because the thing about it is there'll be people, and I've even been on podcasts. I talked about this with Mark Schindler on Slam and Jam. Like, hey, do you think that they will go get X piece or like add one more guy or something like that? Like, no. And in fact, they're going to go the opposite direction. And they're going to be bringing in Ousmane Dieng, and he's going to play. And he's one of the younger guys from this past draft, and he's going to play a lot. And will he be more hurtful than helpful? Probably, because that's what teenagers are in the NBA. And that's going to be okay, because like this year is not the goal. Like, think about if they actually traded for OG Anunoby.
Yes.
Like, you're going to have to extend him, give him a big fat deal. One, I don't even think he wants to play here. Like, honestly, like, that's just like, be frank. Like, I don't think a guy like OG wants to play here. Like, you're going to tell OG, hey, OG, you want to come to Oklahoma City where maybe you're the third option? Maybe you're the fourth option, though. Like, honestly, like, if we're really being frank, like, you're the fourth option. You want to come here? Even if he said yes to that, you're going to have him taking on a huge, huge portion of your cap. And then it's going to force you to make decisions about guys like J-Dub way earlier than you want to.
Yeah.
You really want to do that? Like, the answer is absolutely not. It is nonsensical. Like, this is one, it's not the time, because you don't even know who your team is. Like, you don't even know what you got. Until you have like a real chance to look at Chet with this group, you have no clue what you have. Absolutely no clue. And then
you can move on the margin. You can, if Muscala says, hey, look, my ankle is really hurting. Can I be on the staff instead of
right
field? Yeah, sure. And you have
you look at another Isaiah Joe type of deal, and you bring in somebody else that's like of that caliber, and they see if they work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the New York Times put out an interview with Chet. I can't remember when that went out, but he just talks about how hard he's been working.
Yeah.
If you want to get really excited, you can go read that. There's not like anything like groundbreaking in it, but like just the fact that his attitude and the way that he has quote unquote attacked the program from the angle that he has, it's pretty impressive. Like, it's just an impressive mindset that you hear from him. So yeah, that went out in the New York Times. So it's you just have to be really excited, and you have to let it play out. Like, you have to let this whole process play out. There are so many guys that need a chance to develop. Dieng is toward the top of that list with this current group, where it's like, yeah, we've got to figure out who this guy is. Like, is he worth investing more resources in to get us to the place where we want to be? I don't know. I don't think they have any way of knowing that either. Like, let's figure out also, like, what do we have in Trey Mann? Like, Trey, you got the rest of this year and next year. We got to figure out
Yeah.
if you've got the stuff. You know,
Interesting wrinkle that I mentioned this morning already. I'm repeating myself a lot, but the fact that from a good stretch, Giddy and J-Dub were playing a lot of time together. And now
that's
it's Trey Man.
yeah, it's shifted.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, we know that works. We're gonna put that over
Yeah.
here on the shelf. You know,
Yeah.
here's the shelf of things that work. You know,
Yeah.
and on that shelf is like the lineup with Kenrich at center. It's like, yep,
Yeah.
put that on the shelf. Now we're gonna throw out some other guys.
Yeah, which is okay. I mean, but I thought that
Fourth
Giddy.
quarter with Giddy and with J-Dub, great. Put that on the shelf.
Yeah,
It's just something else.
yeah. Let's see if there is something else that works. By the way, Gray Paper is suggesting that there are articles that discuss the possibility of OG going to Memphis. That would be actually neat in terms of Memphis getting a wing that, if the trade is for Brooks, plus I don't know how many picks. I don't know if a team like Memphis can trade a guy like Brooks.
I don't think they would trade Brooks in it. I think they would keep Brooks and add to it, and they would probably trade. It would have to be like young pieces, right?
Mm-hmm. But he's Canadian. Maybe Toronto will get the.
Yeah, but if you're Toronto, you don't really want Dylan Brooks.
Why?
Right.
But it depends on the picks that you have that you put.
We can talk about a lot of reasons why, but yeah, I mean, like, give me Santi. You know.
Yeah.
Give me, I don't know, Kenny Lofton just for fun.
Zaire Smith. Oh, Williams, sorry.
Yeah, I'd take Zaire Williams. Like somebody like that. Like somebody that's got some upside, like Zaire Williams or Santi Aldama and some picks would be enough. And if I'm the Grizzlies, like I'm wanting to win now, like I'm not trading Dylan Brooks. And I know that there's like a lot of people don't like him and they think that he's not a winning player, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Like I still want Dylan Brooks.
Yeah. But if you replace Dylan Brooks minutes with OG,
I mean, it'd be pretty great.
You improve. You get more efficient. You get like better defensively, probably. I don't know.
Brooks is pretty good. I mean, if you could go small though, with Adams sitting and Triple J at the center,
and OG at the 4,
Brooks, Bane, and Morant, like holy smokes,
like,
watch out.
That's
I might make Dylan Brooks come off the bench to start, and you start with OG at the 3, and Triple J and Steve-O.
Yeah,
but then you can go small, and you're like, what do you do with that?
You
like
play Kenrich at center, and you beat them. That's what you do.
I'm fine with OG going after them the Memphis going after OG. Like that's fine. The Thunder just aren't ready yet.
Yeah.
Memphis is number one in the West. I joked with somebody today. Somebody added down to dunk and asked like, what would it take for the Thunder to be buyers at the deadline? I said, well, if they're number one in the West, sure.
Yeah.
And Memphis is number one in the West. Like they're ahead of schedule. And you have the luxury of being able to make deals like that when you're ahead of schedule. I don't know what the appetite in Memphis is for paying the luxury tax. That's like the other thing that I just don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you're making a deal for OG, you're either going to have to make a really, really hard decision on a guy like Desmond Bane, or you're going to have to just pay a lot of luxury tax money. And like, what's the appetite? Like that's a big thing, you know? Great Pape also brings up Kevin Garnett's tweet. Did you see this from last night?
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's like, yeah, KG, like we've all been on this train for a long time, but it's just kind of cool to see a guy like KG tweet something like this. Those are MVP type numbers in a normal year that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is putting up in OKC, and it's high IQ and efficient than a MF! Exclamation point. These young guys are going to do the league right. We good. It's just cool.
Yeah, we good.
It's cool to see.
Yeah.
I just think if you're somebody that's saying the Thunder should do a deal for this guy or the Thunder should be buyers, like you've kind of missed the vision a little bit of where this is going. because like just stop and just go hop on Real GM and check out what the future pick situation looks like. Because it's just not time. And go look at the roster and look at the ages of the guys on the roster. It's just not time yet.
Yeah.
And look at the standings in the West. Like it's just not time yet. Like give it a couple years. You know, unless you can find me a player that's on a rookie scale contract that would fit perfectly with this team, that would help take them to the next level without having to sacrifice any of the guys on their core. Bring me that player, and then I might say yes.
That's Chet Holmgren.
That guy, yeah, exactly. But somebody on another roster, like that's like impossible. And if you can give me an example of that, like we'll absolutely talk about it. But if you're going to bring me a veteran that's got 1 or 2 years left on his contract, that needs a contract extension soon, no, absolutely not. That's not going to happen with this team. Like it's just not the vision of where this is heading. So, all right. I got to go. Any other thoughts that you just have to put out into the universe before we go, Michele?
No.
Okay. Go to theathletic.com/down-to-dunk if you want to listen to the show with no ads on it. 0 ads if you listen on the Athletic app. You can also read all the wonderful articles. There's lots of trade stuff going on. We got the Rui Hachimura trade. Woo! There'll be more. Who knows? Maybe Thunder related, maybe not. Maybe we'll get a Darius Baisley trade, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Trade deadline is coming up quickly. All-Star weekend also coming up quickly. Should be an interesting weekend for OKC Thunder fans. We'll have you guys covered at The Athletic for that as well. Hope you guys have a great Monday, and we might have another interesting guest on Down to Dunk tomorrow. So stay tuned. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Talk to you guys again tomorrow.